I am out here today just getting ready for our next tournament, which will be taking place on Clark's Hill, the Big Fish Factory. So I appreciate you checking in on the channel, and to my subscribers, really appreciate you guys always tuning in, staying in the comment section, and also hitting the like button. So for today, just wanted to go over a few things as far as our next tournament that's coming up. I know this weekend there's going to be a pretty big high school tournament with the Georgia Bass Nation. Want to say good luck to you guys out there. There are some big fish in that lake, but as far as I can tell, it may be a numbers game until you can get to some of those bigger fish, unless you may be a local or you figure out some type of pattern that will put you on those bigger fish. For me, I've fished that lake a few times, and like I said, it's always been a numbers game for me, but I did have pretty good time down there a few years back. Make sure you guys check the description as always, because there will be links to other good videos in there. I will put the links to the videos from when I was down there previously. And also, if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, anything like that, put those down in the comment section. We're building up a community here with Money Bass. We're building up a good network. So, like I said, make sure you participate, get active and everything. And if you are a high schooler that happens to have a YouTube channel, go ahead and shout out your YouTube channel and leave me a message down in the comment section. I will also put my Instagram on the screen so you guys can contact me there. Just want to start networking with some other guys because, as I said, the channel is continuing to grow. I have a good following that's building up, and we will be getting into bigger and better things, and want you guys to join us as we continue this process. So for today, what I wanted to talk about was just kind of some things that you might want to try out. I'm going to be out there the following weekend after you guys as far as pre-fishing, and we do have a 2-day club tournament down there. So I'm going to probably pre-fish on that Friday and see how things go for me. But I know some guys have been down there already and just giving me a little bit of feedback of what kind of success or not so much of a success of what they're seeing down on the lake right now. So I know the water temps are around 67 degrees, something like that. We're definitely in fall. So the fish may be in that transition stage. Depending on how much time you have to pre-fish, you can take some time out there to kind of locate whether they're still out on the main lake, which some fish are going to be those resident fish that are out there, or maybe they're starting to move back into the coves. So you may want to concentrate on secondary points, maybe start off on main lake points. And also with this lake, you definitely want to try it in the back of those coves sometimes. Make sure you watch this video to the end, because I will go over some of the baits that I've had success with out there. But mainly in the morning times, as always, you guys may want to start off with something that's a good top water bait. And like I said, I'll show you some of the options that I have used whenever I was out there. And you can kind of tweak those or use whatever bait is in your own comfort zone. But in the mornings, as always, top water. This time of year, you may be able to come up on some fish that are schooling. And if that's the case, definitely want to hit top water. You want to have something ready like a swim bait or something like that. So once those fish are hitting on top and they go back down, suspended a little bit, you can still come back behind those fish and still catch those with some type of swim bait that you can count down to where those fish are at. And for me, I've had most success with fishing baits, plastics, like worms. So for me, Texas rig, Carolina rig, and jigs. Those are some good baits on that lake. As far as numbers go, drop shot. But for me, whenever I've used the drop shot out there, I can feel my limit on it. But I mean, you may get fish up to around 14 inches, and primarily it's going to be spotted bass. But if you're fishing a big tournament, you're going to want to focus on something that will hone in on those larger largemouth bass. So for that, I would definitely try to focus on points, maybe secondary points, coves, if you find laydowns, or maybe if you know how to use your electronics well, you can find some brush piles and focus on those brush piles. Because right now, those fish will be concentrating in those areas as they're transitioning from the summertime to the fall time staging areas. So let me just go ahead and show you guys some of the setups that I have been getting into. But like I said, leave some comments down in the comment section. Let's just kind of get some chat going. It's always a good thing to kind of, you know, build a nice community where guys can get together, have some fun and all that kind of stuff in the comment section. All right, guys, let me go ahead and show you some of the tackle that I'll be using. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into the lineup and pretty much how I plan on attacking this lake for this time of year. In the mornings, early mornings, I always want to target those big fish and try to get that big bite. Hopefully I can connect with 1 or 2 fish, but again, it is fishing and everybody does have a plan. Whether that plan pans out or not, that's always something that you just have to wait and see. But like I said, my plan is to go after those big fish and hopefully connect with 1 or 2 nice sized fish in the morning. So that way I can kind of get that stress off of me and I can focus on filling out my limit for the remainder of the day and then going back and targeting those big fish again. So in the morning, if you find some areas that may have grass or something like that, or anything that you look where it's ideal for a frog, a big fish bait that I would definitely keep ready will be a frog. And like I said, for me, this is something that is just used on those occasions where I find an area that will, that will produce with a frog. So that would be one of my go-tos that I keep on the boat. I'll have that one ready just in case I come across that type of situation. The other thing that I will have is some type of rattle trap. So depending on how things have set up on that lake, if there's still some grass or things like that, it's always good to have something that you can fish through that grass and pop in and out of that grass and get a reaction bite from those fish. So a rattle trap, you just have to kind of experiment with the colors and things like that until you can determine what those fish will connect with. So just going to go through these real quick just to give you guys some ideas of some things that you want to have ready. And the main suggestion that I would say is always be ready to fish your strengths, because just because you see a bait or hear about someone else catching something on it does not necessarily mean that you will have the same outcome. So you have to be ready to fish your strengths, and if that isn't working, then you just have to adapt to the situation. So another thing that I will keep on deck is a wacky worm. And so this can be fished in the morning time, middle of the day, or in the afternoon to kind of get that limit filled. And with that, I like throwing this in grassy areas, in cover, and also if there's areas where there's docks or something like that, just something where I need to kind of finesse those fish a little bit. On that lake, there are a lot of spots, so I would think that you may get a lot of bites with spotted bass with that. But when those largemouth connect, that bait right there can really get you a big fish to the boat. Another thing that I would definitely have ready, and again, make sure you look at the videos in the description, the Texas rig. I did have a lot of success on the Texas rig, so I definitely will have this ready if I have to slow down a little bit and just target areas where I may find some type of cover or something that the fish can relate to. I would definitely use the Texas rig for that. And you don't want to overlook laydowns and things like that where those largemouth bass like to hang out. So you definitely want to keep that ready. And a jig. For me, the jig is going to be something that I throw offshore. So I will definitely go more towards offshore, maybe toward mid-morning, something like that, and just see if those fish are active yet, and kind of go back and forth between shallow and offshore just to see what type of bite that I'm getting there. The other thing that I will keep ready, like I said before, is a drop shot. Now, for me, the drop shot has definitely been something that would fill my limit. Those fish are generally not that big. The size limit on this lake is 12 inches. So if you are looking just to get that limit filled, to get that confidence booster up, you can pull up on a few areas, find some long points, main lake points, secondary points, things like that, where those fish will stage up on and kind of be suspended, or they may be over some type of structure like brush piles or something like that. You can definitely catch those on a drop shot. All right, so the other bait that I always keep on deck is a shaky head. This right here, I can fish this shallow, I can fish it deep, and it always has produced for me. And I also put a link to my Eufaula tournament, where this really put in some work for me, and I really caught some weight on that one. So make sure you go in the description and check out that Eufaula video too. All right, so those are some of the baits that that I will be using. And also you do want to keep some type of top water bait, something like a popper, or maybe a walking bait, depending on how those fish are reacting. If they're chasing baits and things like that, you just kind of have to read the, just read the environment, read the conditions and what you're seeing on the water as far as what type of top water bait you need to run. But the other thing, guys, putting in your homework before you get to the lake. So I'm over a week out from my tournament, but I have already started going to my mapping, pulling up information on the phone as far as water level, water temperatures, things like that. Right now, the lake is just a little under full pool. So when you're setting your electronics up, you want to make sure you go in there and get that water depth set correctly, so your water levels and everything like that will be set up correctly. And I will put a link to how I set up my highlights as far as the contours of the lake, the areas that I highlight for the depths, and how I use that to locate areas where there's ledges, points, things like that I want to fish. So like I said, make sure you look in the description, because that information will be in there for you guys. But that's all I have for you for today. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, because we do have discussions and things like that as far as going over conditions, going over different lakes. And as you can see, if you've been following me for a while, you see we fish Georgia, Alabama, Tennessee, and sometimes we fish lakes in South Carolina. So we'll have a lot of information out there for you guys. Just stay tuned and keep supporting the channel. I really appreciate it, guys, and I will see you on the next one.